Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. There is so much data the last 22 hours, so I'm going to have to do part one and part two here. So here is part one of the Pokemon sales data from the PWCC auction last night. Kick it off a base set. We got a Blastoise first edition PSA 9, sold for $19,700. We had a Charizard first edition PSA 7, sold for $16,700. Another Charizard PSA 7 first edition, sold for $17,350. We had a Charizard BGS first edition 8.5, sold for $30,100. Price is getting insane. And oh, what's this? A Charizard first edition BGS 9? And what were the subgrades on this? So we had the centering and the edges were a 9. And then the other two subgrades were 9.5. Now the top 5 bids on this was $40,100, $45,000, $45,500, and top two bids. This one guy Ryan, he messages me during the auction. He's like, "Hey, you're not going for this Charizard, are you?" I was like, "You're goddamn right. I was freaking Walter White. I was in the house like, "You're goddamn right, I am." And he's like, "Okay, I want what's like your max bid?" And the bid at that point was at like 46,000, 46,100. It was him that outbid me, and I was like I can double the price right now, like if I needed to. Like I'm fucking getting this card. And he's like, oh okay. So then he messaged me that. I was like, okay, cool, like I can get it. And as I'm like going up and up and up, I was like, all right, 88,000. That's my high bid, and it goes up to second highest bid was 60,700, and the winning bid was me at $60,800. And he messaged me back later. He's like, yeah, I had to try, man. I had to try in case you were bluffing. I was like, fuck you, dude. It cost me an extra like 15,000, but all right, it's fine, whatever. I still got it, and I'm never letting that bad boy go because it is. There was another one. There was a Charizard first edition PSA 9 that sold only for 55,000, but this was a soft 9. This PSA 9, I would have given it a maximum an 8. Like I think it might have deserved a 7, but definitely an 8. It does not deserve a 9. But the BGS 9, again, the centering and the edges were a 9, and the surface and the corners were 9.5. And the surface is most important to me because that's like what you're looking at. That's the whole front of the card. So this would definitely cross over to a very strong PSA 9, in my opinion. And yeah, it's a whole giant story about how I paid for that. But either way, new record price point. I got it, and I am, as soon as I get it, it's going right into the safe deposit box, and I am never letting that go. I'm going to reject that. We also had a Gyarados first edition BGS 9 with the 9.5 edges, and everything else was a 9. Sold for $3,700. I think that's a little undervalued, in my opinion, right now. That should probably be like double. And why I think that was because Raichu first edition PSA 9 got $6,000. Venusaur first edition PSA 9 got $12,600. We had an unlimited Charizard PSA 10 sold for $30,800. Shadowless Charizard, a 9.5. So this Shadowless Charizard 9.5 got a it was a 9 on the corners, but everything else is 9.5. The Shadowless Charizard got $54,100. I thought that was absolutely insane, considering the 9 is only getting like what, 15, 20. So I don't think the 9.5 should get more than double that. But speaking of insane prices, we had I don't know why I skipped this one. We had a Charizard. It was a BGS 9.5. I'm just gonna mute that. And the BGS 9.5, my BGS 9 had 2 subgrades at a 9 and 2 subgrades at a 9.5. This BGS 9.5 had 3 subgrades at 9.5 and 1 at a 9. So only one of them was more than mine. And it's something where I don't think this should be double of what I got mine for, but it is. So the top 7 bids were 99.5, 100, 127, 127, 127, 127, and then $128,000. So that's something that I would have I don't even want to say it's a hard time justifying, because if the PSA 10 is worth, let's say 210, 220, again, the last one was 210, so we don't know exactly what the next one will go for. But this is something where, if the 9.5 is 128, I think the 9 is at 60. Yeah, that makes sense. Even at the 5 to 8 ratio, at the bottom tier, a Charizard PSA 9 or PSA 10 should sell for 5 to 8 times what the 9 is selling. But in the lower cases like this, like 3 times. So that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. Where, I paid the record price, but it's a fair price. Moving on past that, we did have a box of base set. It was sealed, unlimited, sold for $35,801. We had some Gym Challenge. Here we go. Yeah, that was all just base. Gym Challenge. We had a Blaine's Arcanine, first edition PSA 10, sold for $3,200. I still have 4 of mine, so it's good to know that the prices are going up with that. I won't sell any of mine for that. I might put one of mine up for like $5,000. Wait for the price to get there. Giovanni's Gyarados, first edition PSA 9, sold for $520. Record price point by a long shot, by like a couple $100s for the 9. So this is something that I would expect the 10 to get minimum $2,000. My opinion should probably be more towards $3,000 because there's so few of them. There's like 122 of them out there, so there's not that much. It killed me to sell mine. We had Giovanni's Machamp first edition PSA 10, sold for $484. I think that's a little undervalued too because there's a lot of them out there. There's over 200 of them, but they haven't moved that much in the past 6 months. They have, just not as much as the rest of them. Giovanni's Persian first edition PSA 9 sold for $510. Koga's Ditto first edition PSA 10 sold for $375. Lieutenant Surge's Raichu first edition PSA 10 sold for $580. Now we had 2 Misty's Golducks. They were both first edition, both PSA 9. One sold for $510, the other sold for $570. Record price point at $570. And a Misty's Gyarados, we had 2 of them, first edition PSA 10. One sold for $11.55, the other sold for $10.25. Very close to record price points, I think, as well. This one was interesting. We had Rocket's Mewtwo, first edition PSA 10. One sold for $17.28, the other sold for $16.75. Both of them are record price points by several $100s. If there was only one of these, this probably would have hit the $2,000 mark, but there was 2 of them at the time. Any one of these that had multiple of them, if there was only one, would have hit a lot higher in my opinion. Sabrina's Alakazam, first edition PSA 10, sold for $1,085. Great job at me for not selling on any of these. The trainers, Giovanni, first edition PSA 10, sold for $325. Koga, first edition PSA 10, sold for $390. And Sabrina, first edition PSA 10, sold for $305. I'm not going to for these. Gym Heroes, we had Rocket Scyther, first edition PSA 9, sold for $405. Sabrina's Gengar, first edition PSA 9, sold for $1209. And just Misty Trainer, first edition PSA 10, sold for $543. All right, Fossil. Articuno, first edition PSA 10, wicked record price point, $4,051. That is bananas. Ditto, first edition PSA 9, sold for $290. A little bit of a decrease we saw there. Dragonites, first edition PSA 9, both of them. One sold for $1,900, the other sold for $1,675. Then we had 2 Gengars, first edition PSA 10. One sold for $2,400, the other sold for $2,325. Kabutops, $1,525 that sold for. A Lapras sold for $5,000. These are all first edition PSA 10. That Lapras set such a record price point. It's ridiculous. Again, there's not a lot of them. There's a bunch of 9s, not a lot of 10s. Under 100. Very, very few. Lapras will be the first one of the Fossil set to reach 10 grand a card. Mark my words. We have Raichu, first edition PSA 10, sold for $1,775, again from Fossil. We had 2 boxes of Fossil, both first edition. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 of them. One sold for $20,100, one sold for $18,100, the other sold for $16,600. Yeah, like I said, Lapras, that's my prediction. The first card to reach 10 grand will be Lapras from the Fossil set. Neogenesis, Kingdra, first edition PSA 8, sold for $153. Lugia BGS 9. 9.5 for the centering, 9 for the edges, 8.5 for the surface, but 10 for the corners. Sold for $4,050. Metal Energy, first edition PSA 8, sold for $66. And then I bought a Metal Energy PSA 8 yesterday for $60. I was like, oh, stupid undervalued. Stupid undervalued. Should be minimum $100 each. Minimum. T17, first edition PSA 8, sold for $13.25. Neo Discovery, Yamna, which sold like 6 months ago for about $12,000, sold yesterday for $15,400. Record price point. bruh, there's so few of those. Now that the Yamna has sold publicly, the other one was a private sale, the PSA 9s are going to, just in my opinion. Espeon, first edition BGS 9. Now, how to get the BGS 9? 8.5 for the centering, a little rough, but 10 for the edges and 9.5 for the corners and the surface. Only sold for $760. If the centering was a 9, it would sold for a bit more. Also, we had an Espeon first edition PSA 10 from Neo Discovery sell like 2 days ago for $6,800. Record price point for that card. And then a Houndoom first edition PSA 8 from Neo Discovery sold for $106. The first card in Neo Discovery to have reached that 10 grand mark was Yamna months ago, and did again with another sale at 15.4. The next card is definitely going to be Espeon first edition PSA 10. That's just my opinion, but all right, moving on to Jungle set. Oh, Jungle. Clefable first edition PSA 10, $5,100. Fucking ridiculous. Flareon first edition PSA 10, $3,840. These are all first edition PSA 10. Jolteons for $3,250. And we had a Kangaskhan sold for $4,550. There's not a lot of PSA 10s in the Jungle set, and the ones that are, there's not a lot of them. They're not graded. It's very hard to grade. See you later, Al. We had a Nidoqueen sold for $1,236. Two Pidgeots. One sold for $2,038. The other sold for $1,625. Bird Jesus. I love them so much. That's just a fan favorite. That's, Ash has one. He had a Pidgeot for most of his career, but then, towards one of the last episodes in that first season, it evolved into a Pidgeot. I always hope he comes back. That's one of my favorite. That is the bird to get in the first generation. Some might argue Pharaoh, because of Drill Peck, but Pidgeot's just fan favorite. Pinsir, first edition PSA 10, sold for $1,350. Scyther sold for $2,000. Way to go, Scyther. And a Snorlax, the big boy, $15,700. I kept telling you guys earlier this year, we haven't seen a sale. So the 9s were obviously increasing because the 10s just weren't available. And finally, when one does become available, it sells for over $15,000. I will attribute that, though, to the two increases that we had. One's the quarantine increase, the other's the Logan Paul increase. And that he wasn't alone. Vaporeon first edition PSA 10 sold for $14,700. Vaporeon I could see a little bit more because it's an evolution, and obviously Flareon and Jolteon do very well, but yeah, it's just very hard to grade. Same with Snorlax. There's just so much hollow. It's just extraordinarily hard to grade. So you see those huge record price points. Vaporeon first edition PSA 9 sold for $1,625. Eevee. Eevee from this set, just by itself, sold for $1,025. It's incredible. Everyone loves Eevee and the evolutions. Pikachu from this set sold for $1,150. And we had a couple of boxes here, which don't make sense at all. One box sold for again, this is completely shill bid. This is not a real sale, but the fact that the final bidding price was $1.2 million was it was ridiculous. Obviously, ignore that. Don't believe that sale. And even with this one, the top 4 bids on this, you're looking at $19,100. Cool. $31,900. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Since the last box sold for $24 something, that makes sense. The top 2 bids were $70,000, $70,100. I don't believe that at all. We'll see if they pay. In the next couple weeks, PWCC is going to update their inventory list and paid items, and we'll see. But I don't think it worked. Then we had a pre-release Clefable PSA 8 sold for $1,052. That's something that you're going to look at, and if the PSA 10 version of Clefable first edition sold for $5,100, then that 8 is very undervalued for the pre-release. And why do I say that? Because there is no 10 for the pre-release. It doesn't exist. For the hundreds of cards that the pre-release has been submitted to PSA, not one of them got a 10. So they're unavailable. It doesn't exist. So you have to get the 9s, and there's 31 9s or 38 9s. So this will definitely be much higher, in my opinion, in the coming months or year or so. That's it for this video. I'm going to go over the trophy and promo cards, Rocket, Neo Rev, Neo Destiny, Aquapolis, Gold Star, and Sky Ridge in the next video, in part 2. So stay tuned for that. Give me 45 minutes. I love you guys. Bye.